Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Heart Check with Kiyanni B and Erica O. And here we talk about Kingdom's perspective of sustaining godly relationships and how to navigate relationships as a kingdom single. As a kingdom single. So we just want to welcome you to another one of our episodes. We just want to welcome you to another one of our episodes. I had to turn my phone down and just say, we hope that you enjoy tonight's episode and show. So welcome to those of you that may catch this later. For those of you guys that'll come and hang out with us tonight, we want to say welcome. And when you come into the chat, make sure that you drop your status, whether you are single, whether you're dating, whether you're in a courtship. Let us know what's going on so we know exactly how to serve you and exactly what to share, right? When we come together, right? So Erica, it's been a month, right? So you guys, we do Heart Check on the second Tuesdays of the month. And it seems like it's been forever since we've been able to hang out with you guys and been able to see you guys. So we look forward to coming to talk and to share about this part of our walk and our journey in the body of Christ. Yeah. So Erica, while we're waiting for the saints, how's it been for you the past few weeks, right? And I think there'll be one day when we check in and be like, our status changed.
Come on and prophesy.
I think it will be our status changed.
I can go for that. I can stand on that. I can believe on that.
I was telling Erica earlier today, I listened to our last show and it was rather entertaining. So if you did not catch Heart Check for the month of September, you may want to go back and listen to that because we were talking about dating and ministry. We talked about dating and ministry. We talked about how to approach a man or woman of God, what was acceptable, what was not acceptable. We talked about social media, sliding in the DMs, how did that look? How did that not look? And we talked about just being prepared for the dating scene as a minister. Some of those things, do you share that you're a minister? Do you not share? If you're afraid to share, what exactly is the root of that? What's going on? So we talked about a lot of those things and it was so dope. And what it did was it led to tonight's conversation. So tonight we're going to be talking about 3 specific things that really tie in together, but we're going to hit it each point one at a time. And that is standards, soul ties, space fillers. Standards, soul ties, and space fillers. So this is going to be exciting. So I'm excited to see how we're going to dive into this. This is literally Holy Spirit led because we might have the topic, but we literally don't know sometimes what we're going to share until we actually get into the conversation of the flow. And me and Erica have been sisters for a very, very long time. So we're literally letting you eavesdrop in on our conversations. Because what you see here is actually what you get. We actually be talking with all the foolishness, with all the laughing, with all the wisdom, though, the jewels and that type of thing. This is how we have our conversations when we be trying to figure stuff out and talking about the things that we go through in life and different experiences that we've had. So we're letting you in on the conversation. Okay. So we hope that you enjoy your time with us. So we're going to start with standards, right? Because everything starts with standards. And if you don't have a standard, which is something that you're going to stand for, something that you believe in, something that's your foundation, if you don't have a standard, then you will fall for anything, right? That's a saying. You must stand for something so you don't fall for anything. And I think when I realized how important that was in dating, standards were concerned because I it's not like this was something that was taught regarding dating. It was something that I learned over time that I had to have some type of boundaries. I had to have some type of standards in place in order to safeguard me, in order to also help me make decisions and help me know how to choose. Right. So the standards part is important, saying, I need something above this, or I need something below this. I know I can tolerate this. I know I can't tolerate that. Those are standards, and as Christian singles, our standard is that we be equally yoked. That's a standard. We're concerned about, saving ourselves until marriage. That is abstinence. That's a standard. Something that we believe in, that we're standing on, and those things matter, right? We both are family oriented. We believe in family. That's a standard. So some of those things are important. And I think that when we know what some people's standards are, it may be a little bit easier to choose. Your standard will also be surrounded possibly by your purpose. It should be, right? It should
Yeah.
be involved from your purpose, saying that you kind of have vision, that you know what you want to do, that you know what you're aiming towards. What are you working for every day? Are you just going to work every day, or you have an ultimate goal as
Right.
to why you're doing what you're doing? Is this your career? Is this your job? Some of those things, both are fine. But what's not fine is when you just don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know what you want to do,
On a
where you want to
systematic
go.
road.
Right. Like, you
Just
know,
going.
it's whatever,
Letting
it's
life
whatever.
take, like, not living life. Life is living you.
Yeah. Yes. That used to be the saying. I used to say all the time, like, when life is happening to you, it feels like life is dragging you down the street.
Yes.
It is dragging you down the street.
One of the things my bishops had was giving a young lady a prophecy. And I mean, it was so simple, but so profound in the same way. And she said, "You're going to know your husband because he is going to be what you prayed for." Right. And it's like everybody else outside of that will not fit the mold. Like, you know how they always say, when you meet them, you're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, he's cute, he's this. It's going to be that internal click to say he checks off. And I don't want to say check off because I'm trying not to do these things. But it's like he meets the criteria for what I need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what I need. Like, I know what I want, but what I need. You understand that? Like, it's that, oh my God, I didn't even know I need this, right?
Right.
But also the outside things, right? It also meets, because you can meet someone and you be like, yeah, yeah, and you trying to psych your own self out to tell yourself he the one, when your whole being is telling you no, he's not the one, right? You don't feel secure. It's cool, right? You've been lonely for a little while, but at the same time, it's like you're going to know because it meets your standard, your spiritual standard, your standard of your who you are, what you stand up for, family, all of those things, because everybody's standard is different. But also, I feel like you should write out your standards, because
Yeah.
you want to know if some of them are superficial,
Mm.
right? And as older you get, them standards kind of truncate a little bit by default. But not to say that you don't get what you want or don't pray for what you want, but like, oh, he gotta be 6'5", brown eyes, curly hair, work for MB. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this. You're making it hard for yourself, right? Versus
Yeah.
the things like him being 6'5", curly hair, brown eyes.
Mm.
There's nothing about how he's going to be as a husband.
Right.
Nothing about how he's going to be as a father. Says
Mm.
nothing about how he's going to be as a brother-in-law, son-in-law, a grandfather, an uncle, right? All of
Yeah.
these roles he's going to have to play and fit into your life, versus him having, he's 6'5", brown eyes. You clearly only thinking about yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? You want someone, when I'm dating, I'm like, do this person fits? Will he mesh well with my brothers? I'm with my brothers all the time, right? Will he
Mm.
mesh well with my sisters, right? I'm family orientated. This matters. Does the personalities match? Will it be a case where I don't get to see my family because they just don't get along, right?
Right.
So, and I'm not saying that it should be your family over the person. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the standards, the spouse has to fulfill multiple roles in your life other than his main attraction.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's more to that. So and then don't also just think about the wedding day and not what you want your marriage to look like, right? A lot of women, they like, oh, I just want to be married. But how do we communicate? How do we share our finances? Do we have joint accounts? Do we not? Do all of those things will begin to, when you talk to your person, you will not, oh yeah, like we have similar interests, like not we like blue. No, we think the same way about finances. We think the same way about raising our children. You know how many people I dated and they was like, oh, I don't feel like children should be raised in church. When they get older, they could decide. Excuse me. No, that's not what the Bible says. So
Yeah.
move to the side. But you understand what I'm saying? Like those, although he may have had the house, the car, the he 5'5" brown eyes, and all of this. When it came to raising my kids, our children, there was a conflict.
Right.
This somebody I want to spend my life with, where my kids are not going to be introduced to my God until they're 18.
Yeah.
Be too late.
Right. Right.
So those are the things I have left, stop being with people because I don't like how they treated their children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry
That's a
that you're
big
not
deal.
going to treat my child like that. So forget the car. He could take care of me. If you treat your baby like this, I know my baby's next, and it's not happening.
Right. Right.
Not happening. So
good. Hey, brother, how are you? We see you, Jay, in the chat, Jeremy.
hey,
So that's so good, right? I have I remember somebody was trying to get to know me, so we weren't dating yet. And I think I mentioned this. We were talking about we're in summer love in the summer months, that he and I spoke to any of his closest relatives, and God knows how long. Hi Duchess, how are you? He hasn't spoke to any of his relatives in a long time, and that was very problematic. And he didn't understand why I was feeling that was problematic. I'm very family oriented. I didn't want to have to deal with, oh, you're going to see your family again, or your family's around, all my brothers, my sisters, saying something crazy like I don't like small kids or something like that. I have 22 nieces and nephews in total.
Right.
22. From the oldest of 17 all the way down to now, 4 months. What you're not going to say is that you don't want little kids around. And I'm auntie, and there's a bunch of, of children, that's in my close proximity,
Right.
so those things do matter, right? That is a standard. And because, our family has a good time, right? We just had a Brian wedding, right? And we just cut up nice and good, real good. And we were so grateful. One of my first cousins got married, that his side of the family meshed in with our side of the family effortlessly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly. Like they like to have fun, they danced, they had a good time. We had a good time with them. There was no separation of that's their family, that's our family. They meshed right in, and we absolutely enjoyed it. So we was grateful for that. So that's a big deal. I think that when we're thinking about these butterflies that we be having, like, I'm so in love, and all these superficial surface-based things that we're looking at and looking for, that we forget about the fact, do I want to bear children with this bloodline? Do I want to deal with this whole, do I want to deal with their family's drama and trauma and all of these other things? Those things, that is standards. If I knew then what I knew now, right? My God, we need t-shirts, headbands. If I knew then what I knew now, would I do some of those things, right? Sometimes we were interested in certain people, and we didn't even know the stuff that they were dealing with. Now, the type of time I'm on, better believe that my husband will have a hopeful deliverance session. Better believe that he'll be an intercessor, right? A man of God. That thing is important to me. You're not just a man with vision, but you're a man that prays. You're a man that seeks the Lord. That thing is important. That was not something that I was thinking about before, because honestly, if I'm honest, when I started coming into the things of the Lord, it started being, well, I could pray. But I don't want to be the head. I don't want to be the head. I don't want to be switch roles, and I have to stand up in a role, in a space, because something else is lacking.
Right.
So I do care about a man that prays. I do care about the fact that, how we handle disagreements. Something a big deal for me for standards. Is a standard the silent treatment? Because I'm not with that type of time. Is a standard yelling? Lest we playing Uno and you got a fair hand. You don't be screaming, hollering.
Right.
Lest the Giants is on the screen. I said Giants. I said that. Lest the Giants is on the screen. What are we screaming and hollering for? What are we yelling for? It won't be.
Yeah.
Jeremy. To tell him Webster Avenue. It will not be. It
Yeah.
won't be, right? So those are standards. And guys, we should have them. We say all this to say we should have them. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I remember first hearing that phrase. I feel like the Lord told me that. I don't remember how many years ago it was. Probably about 4 now. When He was letting me know, maybe about 3 or 4, because I started dating like in the pandemic, and He was letting me know if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I had heard that
Right.
regarding other things, not relationships, but the
Yeah.
reason and how it's regarded to relationships is that I needed to have a standard before I even allowed myself to be able to date somebody, because I didn't have I didn't have anything to go by, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is not just acceptable. Everybody's not just okay. And what I find is if you do catchfall, which means that you move first, then try to do stuff after the fact, instead of having it beforehand, then that's how things will slip past the cracks and things will slip past the goalie, because you didn't have an exact standard of this is what's acceptable and this is not acceptable. When you try to do it on the back end, it's not as effective as what it was, because some people couldn't even really get past that. They wouldn't even get past that if we
Right.
had the standard set from the beginning and say these things are important to me. I want to pray with my spouse, right? Certain things I remember, I'm also, when you was talking about what you were sharing, it made me think about the purpose, right? There's some things that God has called me to do. And there's some things that, requires me to speak in certain spaces or to travel or to do some of those things. Like, is that okay? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, is that okay? Like, I might be gone for the weekend. This may happen and that may happen. Is this something that's acceptable for you? And that makes a difference, because I'm a woman that pours out, the way that I pour out, right? We're intercessors. We're praying for people. We're laying hands on people. A Sunday morning service for us is we not just sitting in our seats, and there's nothing wrong with those that do. But we happen to be the ones that are at the altar praying for people. We happen to be the ones that possibly preaching that Sunday or ministering to some type of capacity throughout the week, or teaching at some type of capacity throughout the week. If that's the case, then I really appreciate, something like I got dinner tonight, right?
Right.
I ain't even say, can you cook? Can you make reservations? I got dinner tonight. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Oh, I'll do this. Oh, I'll put Junebug and little Ray to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it. So those things matter. And I didn't realize my the last relationship that I was in a few years ago, I didn't realize that he was very pampering, very take care of you. And
Mhm.
I'm naturally take care of you. I'm the oldest of all my siblings, so I naturally have the I'ma take care of you situation.
Right.
And my daughter's the dynasty, so she got spoiled. And so I naturally take care of you. So
Right.
when I got somebody saying, hey, I'll make your tea, I'll make your coffee, let me massage your feet type style, let me take care of this. Now I'm like, quality noted. You know what I'm saying? Quality noted. This is dope, because I have somebody that's taking care of, that is even just conscious of me.
Right.
In that way, in that capacity. And you know who I love, what some of you guys may know, who I love their marriage and their relationship, and it's new and it's fresh, and we feel like we're on a journey with them. What couple is kind of like one of your favorite couples in Kingdom right now?
Sophia.
Yes! Sophia Ruffin and Tommy. Oh,
Yes.
Sophia and Tommy. They bless me so much. They are so cute. The world is watching.
Yes.
The world is watching Sophia. I started following Sophia. She was Coach Soph to me back in the day, because I did programs with her for the Comeback Kids. And she was back. I've been following Sophia since Periscope in 2015.
Wow.
So I've seen her go through all the transformations, all the inside out, changes, and being beautiful and all of these things. And I adore
Right.
her and her
Absolutely.
husband's situation. And he's kind of like that. Tommy's kind of, I'll take care of you,
Yes.
and very pampering and loving to her. It's so dope. I love it.
Listen, I was dating this guy, and he was a good looking guy, whatever. And I remember, and I don't mind. I mean, it was like a Saturday night, and I really didn't want to go out. So I was like, oh, I'll cook. So Saturday, you done clean your house from top to bottom, spickety span. And I went out to get the groceries to cook. I made mac and cheese, fried fish, and a fresh salad, and you know, just whatever. Just I mean, and I've been up cleaning, cooking, shopping, and he comes over and we're chilling. I serve his plate. By the time I serve this plate, sis is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done. At
Yeah.
this point, I just want to relax. So I just asked him, check this out.
Mm-mm.
I asked him if he can go in the kitchen and get me something to drink. And he was like, no, you go get it and get me something to drink too. Ah, my soul,
My God.
my
No,
soul.
he did not.
Yes, he did. And I was like, he was just like, you're the woman. You're supposed to take care of the man. Oh no, but you could get out. He's like, are you serious? No, very serious.
Very.
Get out.
Wow.
Because what I said to him, I said, we're not going to be together. We're not getting married, nothing. Why?
Right.
Because what you told me in that instant, that you will watch me work from 6 a.m. till 5 p.m., 12-hour shift, taking care of home house, and still want to be serving. You can't even get me something to drink.
Mm.
You didn't even consider what I have. Like, I cooked dinner for you. You didn't even consider. Not only did I cook dinner, I went to go buy the groceries.
Selfish.
You didn't even. He was like, "Oh, if you want me to give you the money back,
right? Well, you're not even on my page.
I would. I mean, it's not about the provision. It was about the energy I took to that. And I said, you know what? I said, you can get out. He left that night, that day, that moment.
Yes, yeah.
We both got up.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
locked my door. And
yeah.
He was coming back. And I said to myself, he's not a man that I want in my life. Yeah. You don't look to take care of me. You just want to be taken care of. And and whoever wants to do that, I said, what you need is your mother.
Ooh.
What you need is your mother, and I'm not your mother, nor am I your grandmother. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said, because my brothers take care of me, my father take care of me, even my sisters and my mother take care of me, and I take care of them. So you're not gonna come here and sit up here like you some big King Tut.
Yeah.
And I'm not a slave girl. I'm not a house girl, and I'm not a maid. Ooh. I'm a woman that work just like you. I'm tired just like you.
My God.
And at that moment, like that right there, I realized in that moment he was male chauvinist, one, but I knew he wasn't for me. I don't care how cute he was, what car he drive, how much money he had. It did not matter, because at that point, I was like, you are not the man that I want to marry. I will be miserable. Like, you ever see a couple where the husband look good and the wife look run down?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I said, if I stay with him, I'm gonna be run down and he gonna be looking fine. They're gonna be like, look, his wife look, he look washed up. The blood of Jesus. It was not me.
I feel that.
I literally had a flashback of me coming from work, taking care of the kids, cooking, making sure his food is hot, everything. All he do is coming home, taking a shower, and hey, babe, thank you, babe, and go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, that's good. So that's something I was thinking about was, so he was somebody that you were kind of relationship with. You were in relationship with him. Mm-hmm. How long had y'all been together?
We were off and on.
For how long?
We knew each other for like 3-4 years. And this time we were trying to be serious.
Got you. Okay. So y'all were in this phase where y'all were, I'm going to count the serious part. I'm not going to count the off and on part. So I'm going to count the serious part. The serious part. In the serious part of your relationship, there was something about him that you actually did like and was attracted to for you to be in that relationship with him. And then especially if y'all had a history of off and on, at some point y'all was like, let's try this for real. Right. And let's make this serious. So there was some qualities that he had that were favorable that you did like, right? So now here's the thing. Now let's talk about this part of the standard, and then we can transition to the next thing, which I really want to hit hard, is soul ties. Yeah. So the part of the standard is that, and I feel like this will be for somebody who will listen to this later, even somebody that's on now, is that sometimes you can be a good boyfriend, aka significant other,
Yeah.
to be a great husband, a great father. But all of these things are not one and the same.
Right.
These are not the same things, right? I have seen people that they were terrible boyfriends, ended up being a phenomenal father
Right.
when that quality was pressed, right? Like when that became a thing. I've seen people that were amazing boyfriends. I've had amazing boyfriends, but they were not husband material.
Right.
See, because when we're dating and you as my boyfriend, right, the fun that we're having is cool. Because ain't nothing serious. This means we go to the movies. Our heavy weightlifting is going to play pool. We may
Right.
go on vacation. We may go on a trip. As significant others, as dating, as courting. But what happens when we have a problem? What
Right.
happens when we're now parents? What happens when we got to make a decision about this mortgage? What happens when we have to buy a house? What happens when we have to relocate? What happens when we have to pick medical practitioners? What happens when we have to decide what school our kids are going to? When we got to make hard decisions and choices. When you grow old with somebody and somebody that's husband material, whatever else, depending upon how old you are, but it'll come eventually, whether you're younger now and you're older, mid-40s, late, whatever else. What happens when our parents get ill and we have to make decisions about our parents?
Right.
I was dating somebody whose mother was ill. Their mother was a lot older and their mother was ill. And then there was conversation that says, hey, mom may have to live with us.
That's a possibility.
Right? I had a hard time with that, if I'm completely honest. It's not that I was insensitive about the fact that it was mom, right? Because I got a mom too. The problem I had was that we were just starting out. So when you just come into family, or you just come into when you're going to be in a marriage or you're planning things for the later, it's like, that's very fragile. Right? So like getting to know each other, letting our families blend and bond, and then we get married. And then for the whole first year, we're learning how to live together, because you used to probably go to bed at 7. I used to probably go to bed at 10. Now we'll probably go to bed at 8, because we kind of meet a middle ground. You used to eat dinner at this time. I eat dinner at this time. You do laundry on this day. I do laundry on this day. All of that has to begin to mesh to make sense. Adding an element of having someone else in the house would be challenging.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I was going to do what I had to do because me and this person were engaged. So this was going to be a part of my life. But all of those things are something to consider when we're thinking about who we're going to be with long term. Right. And I think it's very important to consider the bloodlines of who you're marrying into. I'm not saying that people can be, let's it be the bloodline breaker. You know what I'm saying? Well, we on one accord say we're going to break these curses in our family together. And there's been a measure of breakthrough on both of our sides. There's been a measure of healing on both of our sides, and you got to think it's serious, right? You got to think addiction is serious. You got to think that these bad habits, you got to think lust is a big deal. You got to think that pride is unacceptable. You got to really think those things. You got to think rebellion and witchcraft is something that'll compromise your walk with Jesus. So you got to feel that. And know that in order for me to think that we're on the same page. That don't mean your family don't come from nothing, because my family come from plenty. But I made a decision that I'm not submitting to that.
Right.
And I still love my relatives and we still spend time, but I'm not going to live like that. Nor am I going to raise my family like that.
Right.
So those are standards. Now, soul ties. This is a very, very big deal. What I love is some of the scary memes that you see on social media where people show what a soul tie looks like in the spirit. So it shows like, it'll show a man or a woman with the cut open of their soul. And it shows like a bunch of different faces representing all the people that they were intimate with.
My God.
That the tie was never severed.
My God.
So what we don't realize, what exactly is a soul tie, right? What exactly is a soul tie? Soul tie means that there was a form of intimacy. Doesn't have to be sex all the time either, but there was a form of intimacy that took place with you and someone else, okay? Right. And because of this level of intimacy, your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions, intertwined with their mind, will, and emotions, and wrapped itself around each other. The only thing we want to be yoked to is Christ.
Right.
And then our covenant is with our spouse. So when we say it's a soul tie, it's often in a negative connotation.
Right.
It's not necessarily a healthy thing, right? So we're talking about soul ties. It is demonic, right? And it leaves a lingering thing of the past. So oftentimes too, what people don't realize too is when you have sex out of wedlock, you have children out of wedlock. We have sex and fornication outside of marriage, outside of the covenant bed of marriage that God designed to protect us. That you will intertwine your soul with another man or a woman, and you literally at times can take on the personality of another man or woman.
Right.
We don't talk about that part too often, about the fact that when you've intertwined your soul, you're talking about the fact that you just missed them. It's deeper than that, because getting over those relationships are harder, which is why people often do the yo-yo and come back.
Correct.
Because I can't quite get over it. And they'll think that it means that the love was real. But actually, you have a demonic soul tie preventing you from moving forward. They think that means that the connection was so potent, that it was so powerful, that this must be it. This must be the thing. But the truth is that you're yoked to something that God said is not a part of your plan or your future. And it's actually prohibiting you to moving to the next place. Whenever you've ended a relationship, this has to be a due diligence of a complete sever in your soul of those things. And you have to cut it. You ask God by his grace to cut every soul tie, every demonic soul tie, anybody you've connected yourself to that was not the one you were supposed to be with. And ask God to cleanse you, repent for whatever activity you may have done that was outside of his protection, outside of his will, outside of what you know it is for you, and ask God to begin to sever that thing. And then your due diligence, that's in the spirit. In the natural, stop accepting the phone calls. In the natural, stop talking about, oh, we not dating no more, but we cool, we're going to go have coffee. The devil is a liar. You have to wait. There's a certain amount of time that has to pass after a soul tie has been severed to allow healing. You're thinking about a blunt cut, right? Do you have surgery and just go out the next day? No, you take time to recover. A tie is a violent tear. It is a cut.
And it depends on how long you guys been soul tied, right?
And it's going to be painful. You're gonna, because it's a part of your flesh that was satisfied that has to be denied. And like I said, it doesn't have to be sex, because it can be intimate of your heart. You can allow somebody access to your heartstrings that should not have access by sharing personal information, by sharing your desires and your affections. You can create a soul tie as well, right? I don't even want to go there and say how I created a soul tie with one of my best friends, not because of, and our intimacy was a tattoo. Our intimacy was a tattoo. We decided we were going to get a tattoo together, and we got the same tattoo. Different places, but the same tattoo, and it created a soul tie in the spirit. Now, this was my best friend. This is a sisterhood, but we were on one accord. We had the same like mind. We made the decision together, and because she was my sister, because we're so close, of course, there was automatic. We're tight, but it was demonic. It was a soul tie. It was a blood covenant oath. That was demonic, that had to be severed. That I did not know what I was doing when I was doing it. I was at a conference being ministered to about something totally different. And who was ministering to me began to see the tattoo in the spirit without seeing the tattoo. The tattoo was on my ankle, and I had boots on up to my knees. There was no way to see the tattoo. But when they started ministering to me, the tattoo began to burn and told me about a covenant that I made that was outside of God. So if you tie your heart to anything that God didn't say, requires a sever.
Right.
It requires a sever. You have to cut it. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. And you're going to have to be okay with having some distance. That doesn't mean you can't recover, because me and that friend stopped speaking for a season, but me and that friend are still friends today. We are friends today, right? But it had to be recovering. It had to be healing. Some of my exes, I have a real close relationship with one of my exes, right? We're close today. But there had to be a period of time where I allowed God to heal me from the sever, so I wasn't so vulnerable that I would slip back into something that was old. So soul ties are a real thing. And you can be married with a soul tie from somebody to the past.
Yeah.
You could be in a whole nother relationship, comparing them subconsciously, not realizing you're comparing. Oh, I didn't have to deal with this with them. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, she carried my slippers and she brought my slippers to me. Oh, she made dinner every night at 7:00. Oh, he did this and he did that. You will subconsciously compare people to your other situation because you don't have a clean start. Severing the tie allows you a fresh reset. We must sever soul ties.
Yeah. I want to say, like, a lot of people think, some people that abstain from sex, right? they don't feel like they can gain a soul tie. But like if you spend them long hours on the phone with somebody and time, and you guys are sharing all of these deep rooted things, you begin to have that soul tie, right? And the thing with the soul tie, it really is, it stops you from moving forward, right? Like you can't, even if there is the next guy, right? You worrying about what this guy is doing, or you could be ready to move forward, and you won't talk to this person for 6 months, a year. The minute when they feel like you getting too far, what they do? Hey, let's go out to dinner. And then you fall right back into the matrix with them. You break up again, and then you go a whole year, and you, before you know it, you in a vicious cycle. 5 years later, you like, how does this keep on happening? No, the soul tie is like, whoa, 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 she's getting too far. Whoa, 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 he's getting too far. Get them
Right.
apart. And then do you ever, like, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. Have you ever stopped talking to somebody for like a long time? The minute you set your mind to go to a new level, that person show up like, what
They
the
text you.
devil?
Just
We
thinking about you.
you didn't think about me 12 months.
That pop-up is an indication that you about to transition to another place. That's why they popped up.
Listen, I mean, and to the point where they would have dreams of them trying to call you in. I mean, I have had friends who had they was dating someone, and the person in the marriage had a baby, and still, oh my God, I miss you. And miss me. You better miss your wife and your kids. That's what you better miss. And leave
Mm-hmm.
me out of it. But again, the soul tie. And although you sever the tie too, sometimes in you got to ask God to sever the tie in them.
Right.
Because
Yes.
sometimes you can be cut off, but they still haven't. And what I'm going to say this, throw away the gifts.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Throw
yeah.
away the gifts, the
Yeah, yeah,
jewelry.
yeah.
Throw
Yeah.
it away. The clothes, the shoes, the coat, the bag. I
God.
know the bag.
My God.
Throw it away. Because it's all access.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Your shirts. Don't. I'm telling you.
Mm.
I'm telling you. I remember I had this one girl. She was like, the bags, like these bags is 3, 5, 6,000.
Priorities.
Jewelry. I'm
Yeah.
talking about tennis
Jury
bracelets.
specific. Yeah, especially jury.
I had when I was dating this guy, we dated off and on for a long time, right? Long time. When I was, this is how long I knew him. I knew him since I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He brought me a necklace, not a chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had that chain for years.
Mm.
And I did the whole soul tie cleansing and this, that, and the third, whatever. And he called me out of nowhere. And I'm like, God, why he still calling me? Like, I'm so, he was like, he still have access.
Mm.
And I'm like, but what? And I looked at that chain. I had the chain for at least maybe 20 years.
Wow.
20 years. I
Wow.
had that necklace, that chain.
Wow.
And I took that thing to the jewelry store, and I said, whatever price you give me, look, it can't go home with me. I know it can't go home with me. So whatever you say, because I made up my mind walking out the store with nothing to cash. So she was
That is
like,
funny.
I only can give you. So she had it in her hand, and she was like, yeah, oh, this is, oh my God, this is from back in the days. It was like a Gucci link,
Yeah.
14 karat,
Wow.
it had little diamond crystals in it and everything. And I'm sitting there like, I love wearing that chain. So I'm like, all right. I gave him back the pendant that was on it, and I thought that was enough. The Lord was like, you know why? Because that was his first chain he brought for himself.
Mm.
And he gave that to me when I turned 16.
Mm.
So can you imagine? I'm telling y'all. So She was like, I'll give you $90. I was like, okay, bye, thanks. My friend was like, you could at least got $130. I said, girl,
Just trying to,
let it
yeah,
go. I went
yeah,
through all my jewelry, any earrings, any this. I didn't even melt them into nothing else.
yeah,
She was like, you don't want to make you let it go.
yeah,
Let it go. Go throw it away, burn it, whatever. Get and then I started to be like, I'm not, if he not my husband, I don't want to accept no gifts because you're not gonna buy me no Gucci bag and then next month I gotta throw it away. Mm, you know, so
wow,
you don't want any point of access, right? Anywhere, because and then more or less if the man uses witchcraft,
mm,
you got something in your house, in his house, in your house of his.
yeah,
That's a point of entry.
yeah,
That's a they, you know, you go to, oh, do she got something like a t-shirt or something in her house? Oh yeah, what it look like? Show me a picture. And then you wondering why you having all of these crazy sex dreams and all, like the spiritual realm is, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, people do some crazy things when they think
they
they
do,
love, you know. So just be mindful of that. And if you want to do a complete, like we got the spiritual cleansing, then the natural cleansing, you know, even when, you know, even some friendships, I had to let go of some stuff, like stuff we had the same, and you know, whatever, to just
yeah,
fresh start,
yeah,
because it, you can feel the detachment
yeah,
when you roll those things away,
yeah, you can,
you know.
you
And I
can.
remember he's like, I feel like, he said, our connection feels broken. I said, well, bless the name of the Jesus, because it is. Hello.
Oh God,
Like, he
that
don't
is
know.
hilarious.
You know, like it's so crazy he would say that, you know, but just if you want to move forward, right? Because who wants to be in a relationship with somebody, but in their mind they in a relationship with somebody else? You
Yeah,
wouldn't want to be with a man that's in a relationship with somebody else in his mind, like what if, what if, what if, what if? And no man wants to be with a woman in her mind, what if, what if, what if? Nobody
yeah,
wants to live like that. That's so unfair, you know?
yeah.
So,
I started thinking about something as you said that. I remember years ago, I had a friend who she had not spoken to this guy in a very long time. And she was thinking about him though, but she said it out loud. She kind of was saying, oh, I wonder how such and such is doing. Right. And he called her and she didn't even know he had her new number. She was in another location, another state.
wow.
And he called her, and no, that I won't even pressed about that. Maybe there was yellow pages. I don't know. I won't pressed about that. I was pressed that he said, because this was a long time ago. He said, you called me. He said she
Oh,
called him, and he called her. Now, and when this happened, they treated it as a laughing thing, like I ain't call you. I didn't even have your number.
nah, you called
That's
him in
not
the
what he was
spirit.
talking about.
No.
There was a summoning in the spirit that was like a draw of desire and affection and talking about him, and he literally popped up on the doorstep.
My
So there's a serious thing about the your affections and certain things. It's almost like how you will certain things to you, right? You can draw certain things to you by what you're carrying.
right.
And that's why I'm like, I know this is kind of a shift for what I was thinking, but maybe it's necessary. I was thinking about sometimes when women deal with a lot of sexual assault and or men deal with a lot of maybe addictions and stuff like that when it comes to lust and that type of thing, that you begin to draw people that carry the very thing that you're carrying. This is another part of this is a reason too why you got to be not only have your soul ties severed, but you have to let the Lord to fill, to heal, to cleanse, to refresh, right? And to so you can have a clean and fresh start, because it will be we can see each other in the space. I remember going to a club a long time ago, and I was in my early 20s, and there was a bunch of guys over in the corner, right? And it was my girlfriend, one of my girlfriends, her birthday party, her and her brother a year apart. So they put their birthdays together because their birthdays in the same month. So it was a December birthday party. And I'm looking at, and mind you, since they're the same, basically same age range, all his boys on one side, all her girls on the other side, they rented out a whole club. So
Mm-hmm.
I look at the guys, I know exaggeration, at least 25 guys over there, like kind of like at the bar bugging out and stuff like that. So my girlfriend comes over to me and she said, yeah, chick, I see you scheming. Who you looking at? So I named two other guys over there. Two. I remember one had a Boston fitted with a B. And he was kind of tall and dark skinned, and the other one's kind of short and brown skin, had on a green jacket. I said, that one and that one. She goes, that's unbelievable. And I'm like, what? She said, you picked the two most dangerous men in this place.
Wow.
So those were the dope boys, right? And I didn't have known it, but I was used to it. I was drawing what I had been doing. So I could see and spot them anywhere without knowing that I was seeing and spotting them.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. When women deal with a lot of insecurity and they end up with Ike, like, that they end up being PREY, end up being prey because they didn't deal with rejection or insecurity or any of those things. That's a big deal. And you begin to draw what's in you. That does have to do with the acts of your soul.
Yes.
It does have to do with it. I remember dating somebody, and I spoke about him recently. I dated somebody before I had rededicated my life to Christ. This last time, since I've been walking with the Lord for about 12 years now. And I remember when I met him, I thought I was it. I thought I was cute. I thought this was what's up. I thought I was the thing, right? I was promoting back then. I was in the street. I was promoting parties. I was always out there. And I remember him, saying to me something to the effect of, when we met, it was one thing, and we dated. We actually did, talk for a while. But then when we stopped being intimate, we grew intimate another way. So we stopped being physically intimate, and then our affections grew intimate, because he started going in this journey where he was like, so we stopped, having sex. We stopped. And then now our hearts begin to intertwine differently. That did something else with regards to heartbreak. That did something else with regards to separation. That did something different, because now it was more getting to know and all this other stuff. This was how the world do it. The world sleep together first and get to know each other after. It was happening, right? And so when we did all that, I remember he said something. He was like, Key, I love you. We decided to go our separate ways, but it was a peaceable parting.
Wake up, yeah.
He said, Key, I love you. He said, don't ever be who I met again.
Oh, wow.
Don't ever be who I met again. That thing set me all the way straight.
My God.
Because you don't even know how you're being perceived.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? How people are seeing you. How he saw something. Good thing he cared enough about me to see past
right.
You know what I'm saying? My flaws and my indiscretions, and didn't hold it against me. He did not hold it against me, So that's a big deal.
It is.
That was a big deal. And I always remember that. Never be who you used to be.
Right. And you know what's so funny? I was during the conference, some of the volunteers, they were talking, and I just kind of like brushed in and out of their conversation. And one of the girls was saying that, oh my God, I hate when people be like, oh, I miss the old you. And I was like, the blood. But I was so serious, because how can you say you miss the old me? And I was completely a mess. And in my unhealed perspective, you love me a mess. You don't love me whole,
Right.
And it takes a mature person. And that's the thing, right? When you're talking about when you have standards, right? When you're looking for someone, when you're dating them, that perception, how you see has to be healed. Yeah. Right? Because if we're not healed in our perception, and it's broken, or it's, got a couple of shades on it, we're not going to see the good thing in front of us, right? Because the good thing going to look like a not so good thing.
Right.
The good thing is going to look like a great thing.
Right.
And you'll be in trouble, right? But when he was able to see you in a clear lens to see more than a decision that was made.
Yeah.
Seeing this woman that, you know, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's, you know, well rounded, she's this, she's that, and all of these things. But the first day, that decision it kind of, it didn't meet what I am experiencing now.
Right.
So, like, how do you look? So, how many times, like, okay, if I'm attracting whatever, right, because of my unhealed soul,
Mm.
how many of my good guys, the guys that I'm supposed to be with, or the women I'm supposed to be with, they're passing me by because my soul is speaking a different thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My soul is speaking. So that inner healing matters. Because there's some guys, they could be fine. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
Yeah.
And he may have a nice personality, but again,
Right.
your soul is speaking. Your soul is, you perverted. Your soul
Yeah.
is
Woo.
perversion. Your soul is saying you too lustful.
Right.
Your soul is saying I can't even get to your characteristics.
Yeah.
Your soul is screaming something else. And a
Ooh.
woman, her soul could be screaming too needy, too this, too, you know, insecure. You gotta give yourself a chance,
Clingy.
a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm.
Because when somebody meets you, you don't want them to meet your solical self who's unhealed.
Yes.
And then you know who you're going to track? That guy who, like, you know, men say, I like girls that's insecure.
Yes. Yes. Men have said that.
Because I
That's
don't want to do
easy.
too much.
They
Yeah.
easy. They easy. They
They
low
don't
hanging
want too
fruit.
much. They
They
don't have
low
no
hanging
standard.
fruit.
They just want to be picked.
You know, even with trophy, like just when people say that's a trophy girl, or you know, you just really want to have them on your arm for the fact that they're beautiful, but it's very surface level, superficial based. It's not something that has substance or something that's sustaining long term.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I've heard men be so bold as to say it, they're easy and they have low hanging fruit. I remember one of my brothers, you know, was dating somebody, and I was like, hey, you know, you need to consider long term what this looks like, right? Because I know that you're not at your best right now, but the fact is I'm a little concerned about somebody getting with you when you're not at your best, knowing that this is a temporary place, this is a pit stop, and you're going to continue to grow. Then when you grow, you're not going to have nothing in common with this person no more. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what happened over time, right? So there's sometimes where you can grow with somebody, but then there are times where this is not a good, this is why I don't believe in making serious decisions while you're in that broken state anyway.
Wow.
Right? If you're wounded and you're got a gaping hole in your heart, that's not a good time to be like, hey, I'm going to get into a relationship. You got too many things going on for you to be stabilized enough to even have a relationship. So you can't do that right now. You can't do that right now. And you got to be okay with that. Like, you know, as far as that part is concerned, you have to.
Because your soul speaks. Your
Yeah.
soul speaks. And that's just the truth of the matter. I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow. What do, because before people meet you, they be like, oh, you got such a light about you. You so nice, you so kind. I ain't never do nothing for you. So that means my soul is speaking
Right.
in the room before I get in there. So, and then if that is happening, like you said earlier, then also my soul is attracting.
Right.
Is attracting. It's the people that's looking at me. How can a guy know a girl's insecure from across the room without talking to her?
Correct. The same way how I knew them dope boys was at that bar
Without even knowing, you
without
knew
knowing their names, didn't know nothing. It was what I was attracted to.
it
When I
too.
looked at all these men, you have over 20 men standing in a huddle, talking, pounding, giving each other dap, and I literally, the one that he stuck out to me. He actually later on that night, we leave that spot at 4:30 in the morning. He shot up something in that parking lot that night. He didn't hurt
Wow.
anybody, but he was shooting out there in that parking lot that night. That's why my girlfriend was like, I cannot believe you. This is unbelievable. And she said that because she couldn't believe it, because she knew she was my friend. She knew my history.
Wow.
Like, how
Yeah.
can you be attracted to that? I would see it a mile
Oh,
away.
okay.
You
You are
attracted.
attracted, right?
You
The
attracted.
first thing that look at
Is
you.
what you are. Even this, so you wonder how women that deal with, sometimes with men and women, because it's not just women, when you deal with abusive relationships and you end up
Yes.
into the same joker over and over and over
Okay.
again. That's because even if you find the strength to leave one, you still got to do your due diligence and your process of being healed, so you don't attract the next one to act the same way.
Exactly.
You still have
Because
to. You still, that healing part is important.
and then the thing is, because I mean, it's crazy, right? Because an abusive man may be abusive to one girl, not to the other, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely seen
Because
it.
he knows what he can get away with. Like, again, the soul is
Yes.
speaking of
Yes.
what I can do, right?
Yeah.
It's not, it's like, it's just like, but it's just the same thing that somebody dating some girl and he cheating, and then all of a sudden he meet another girl. He be like, nah,
I
she
got to tighten up.
right. I gotta tighten up. She ain't playing internet. All of these things. It's your soul is speaking. So
Yeah.
what is my soul speaking when I meet people?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I never really put it in that content, but I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my, and you keep on falling for the same person, or you're not even attracted. Like sometimes you'll see a person like, oh, I don't like him. You maybe you should give him a try.
Yeah. I realized on my healing journey how much I was being healed by my attractions that changed.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
It's not the same men that attract me anymore. And I'm even talking about from, a physical aspect, the initial meeting
Yeah,
of a person.
yeah,
Those things don't attract me anymore, what used to attract me before. That's how I knew I was on a healing process at that time, because I was looking for something. We subconsciously are looking for something that meet us where we are. That's why
yeah,
sometimes we will settle. That's
yep,
why sometimes we mess with people that we're not supposed to be messing with. That's why sometimes we'll tolerate certain things, because we're dating. You ultimately date how you see yourself.
that's right.
So how you see yourself and what you think, you may think that if you have self-worth issues, you're not going to date somebody of a high caliber. Here's something that's always has to be considered that's very serious. And I hear it and I watch it all the time, where I hear people rattle off a list, both men and women rattle off a list of saying, these are the things that I believe that I deserve, or this is what I'm expecting, or what I'm looking for. And
Right.
and if people are very honest about themselves with this checklist, they need to do a checklist on their own selves. Just like I like what you said, well, you should write down your standard. Right. I believe that every believer, everybody, every person, whether you're a person of business or not, you as an individual, I believe that at certain points we have to have our own personal vision statement. Oftentimes we only do a vision statement for businesses or our brands and stuff like that. Even if you're not an influencer or whatever in that capacity, it doesn't matter, right? If you're a
Right.
kingdom believer, you should have your own personal statement, and that has to do with some standards, some morals, some values, and some foundational things, so that you kind of know what to go by. It'll help you with everything, with all
Yeah.
of your relationships, not just your romantic ones, but all
Friendship.
of your relationships.
Mhm.
But I realize how people have these standards. I want this, and this, yet they're not able to even match the flaw of the person they're asking for. So that means you want a person that carries all this caliber of this. But I heard Dr. Faithful Coleman say something powerful. She said that her husband, when she met Pastor, so she was saying how he was very smart, and she knew where he was going in life, that he was going to be smart, he was very intellectual and everything else. And she was saying how she knew that she had to be educated, an
Mm.
educated woman, in order to be with him to a certain degree. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
She knew that her husband was going to be, it would not have worked if
Nope.
I was one that did not pursue education, if I did not, was one that was that grew up, or that had growth patterns or anything like that. Like, she was conscious of that. I understood what she said. I'm paraphrasing, but I understood what she was saying. The type of man that he was, is certain things that need to be done with her. And I was like, that's so very true, because I had a cousin like that years ago that had all these high standards, but yet I was like, if you met somebody who has all these things you're talking about, you're not even eligible.
You're not even qualified.
Qualified to be with them. So that means that goes to what you said. You can meet them and they pass you by
Right.
because you're not a you didn't do your part to come up higher.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? You know, some of us are going back to school. Some of us are in organizations or groups to sharpen us. Some of us to put ourselves in community on purpose, right? It depends on whatever your thing is, but you should desire to grow on your own. People
Yes.
that don't desire to grow, relationships are terrible. All of their relationships. If you don't want to grow internally, if you don't want to grow spiritually, if you want to grow in wisdom and stature, if you don't want to grow, if you are stuck, all the relationships are hindered. All of them. It does not matter what it is because people are evolving. People are growing to the next place and state. The world is shifting and you're stuck in that same place. If you got that one track mind, you're not open, you're closed. All of your relationships are going to be dramatically impacted by your lack of growing up. And then, because it's a part of growing up and being mature, and then you will feel like people that shifted on you, changed, or you started
Yep.
acting funny and wonder why somebody ghosted you.
My God.
It was no growth.
It was no growth.
It was no growth. Guys, I want you to, whoever's hanging with us still. So we were talking about standard soul ties and space fillers. After we went to soul ties, we did a shift. I don't think we're going to be able to touch space fillers on tonight. So we can carry that over until the next month because I feel like the conversation shifted for good reason, right? Like we were kind of mentioning and kind of sharing. So if you guys have any questions for us, please feel free to drop them. If you guys are on the replay and you happen to have questions, please drop them. We'll be sure to still answer them and or address them in the next show. Okay, address them in the next show. But these things are important. These things make a big deal in difference in regards to how you sustain your relationships, how you navigate your relationships, right? You have to know where you're starting so you can know what you're supposed to have. If you don't know your purpose, you don't know what type of man works best for you. You don't know the type of woman that works best for you because you don't know where you're going. Part of knowing purpose is having vision. That means that God has revealed some things to you, having some revelation of the Lord. And the only way you can have revelation from the Lord, which means he's revealing something to you, is if you take time to sit with him, right? We've done our relationships in the world, and then now we're like, okay, we've seen what we can do. God, we need you to breathe on this. Even if we have instances where we're already in relationships and then come to know God while we're already with somebody, right? If we come to know him while we're already with somebody, we're asking for grace to navigate through those spaces as we're growing, because those are big challenges, right? When you have one person growing in faith, the other person not desiring to do that, those marriages are extremely strained, right? And then that goes for everything. Because what about when you're extremely ambitious and then you can dream big, right? And the other person has nothing to do, wants nothing to do with that, right? Those things become very challenging when it comes to you trying to live, when it comes to you trying to, you want to kind of be eye to eye. That don't mean everything is going to be exactly the same, but a balance is needed and necessary.
Is bad. Yeah. Because you don't want, I mean, I think one of the questions too, I would ask somebody that I'm dating is, okay, after we get the house, the car, this, what's next, right? Like, what are we doing as a family? What is our next step, right? Because, if you like a dreamer and you a dreamer driver kind of person and you always going forward and maybe the guy you with, he just want the picket fence, White House, 2 cars, a dog, and 2 kids, and you're doing too much.
Yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with that lifestyle, right? So I think like dating, like having those meaningful, really robust, downright good old conversation, so you're not blindsided 5 years, 2 years, okay, 6 months in.
Right.
6 months in, you realize y'all don't like the same thing. Y'all don't want the same thing. Y'all don't even want to live in the same city, no more or less the same neighborhood. You know what I mean? Those things matter, right?
Yeah.
One of my cousins now, her husband is a doctor, and every now and then a different hospital was so after him and offer him all this money, and she got to move. And my cousin she's a nurse. She's a the highest nurse. What is that? Nurse practitioner? Yes.
Yeah.
So that means she has to leave her job, uproot her 4 kids,
Wow.
4
Yeah.
from schools, and follow her husband. And she done moved. My cousin, they built a house in Ohio, and she was like, "We not moving again," and they still moved.
Yeah, that's like military.
Right. So you could just imagine, but she's down for her husband.
Yeah.
She said, "I don't care. I'm going." She said, "Because if," she said, "the more he makes, the better our life is."
Yeah.
Right? That's her thing. Some people are like, "No, I want stability."
Right.
There's nothing wrong with either one of those things.
Correct.
But what you ready to ride for? Because
Yeah.
moving everywhere could be a big old argument.
Right.
Like, we moving again. I'm tired of this. I want to sit in the, I gotta pack up. My sis be like, "Girl, we sold everything. We just taking clothes." What?
Yeah.
I got attachment to items.
Yeah.
I sold the clothes. We sold everything. She's like, "Girl, it costs too much to put those stuff in the truck. We'll buy stuff later."
Yeah.
My cousin just like, couch. I get another couch.
Yeah.
That's her.
See?
But another person would say, "No, I need to be rooted in the city.
That's
Like,
me.
I have ministry."
Yeah. That's
What do you mean?
me. I hated being a
Right.
military spouse. I had a hard time.
Right. So you just imagine all of these conversations that would need to be had, because somebody got to be the ride.
Yeah.
Somebody got to be the rider, and somebody got to be the driver. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And for her to continue to kickstart her career.
Yeah.
And my cousin is a student. She is smart.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? She like, "Girl, please, I'm trying not to work no more. I want to
Yeah.
open up my own clinic at best.
Mm.
That's my dream." And I'm like, wow. So you got to do marriage on your terms.
Yeah.
We got to do marriage on our terms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what does that look like for us? Not you, because
Right. Right.
we like, "Oh, I want my marriage to the," no. What does our marriage look like? How
Yeah.
are we when it comes to moving, when it comes to this? You listen, you got men that don't like traveling.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna be my man.
Right. No, we
No.
out. We out.
He
We
with
out.
him at. He ain't gonna be my man.
Yeah, we out.
I like to travel. So if he
Yeah.
ain't talking those cash money things,
Yeah, we out.
I like to travel, right? I remember I told you guys, I think I shared this. One of my coworkers, she had a husband. He did not, he was afraid, terrified of planes.
Mm.
She could never go on a trip with her husband.
Yeah.
15 years of marriage,
Mm.
and they never took a trip to the Caribbean.
I was gonna say they need a canoe.
She gets divorced from him and everything. Me, her new husband. I can't keep. I said, "Girl, how many trips do you get?" She said, "As long as my husband is sending me, I'm going." And I said, "Well, praise be to Jesus, because that's dope. I love that." And he go with her one. He sends her with her kids. Like they those are not his kids. And they go, and then she goes on a trip with her girlfriends.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
She said, "This is like," she said, "I love my marriage."
Mm.
She said, "I love my marriage because it's everything I want to do." He goes out, we go to concerts together, we go have dinner, we date. She loved that, and this to the point where I knew she did not settle in what she wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the standards, because
Yeah.
if I ain't going traveling, I'm gonna be miserable, because a sister gotta get out of here.
And listen, that settling has an expiration date.
Whew.
Believe that.
Yes,
That settling has an expiration date. It will be cool for a minute.
yes.
It'll be cool for a minute. And this is where we need to pick up from the next time when we talk about space fillers, from the settling to the space fillers, because that's how some space fillers come around. But if you settle, you will put yourself in a position where you're only hurting. And meanwhile, not only will you hurt yourself, your purpose, and your future, right? By having somebody that does not complement your destiny, right? Because we made an emotional decision, a choice, or we chose not to do our due diligence, right? Meanwhile, it's going to be collateral damage of children, the meshing together of families.
Yep.
You know, I have some families of my exes who still kept me as family, even though we broke up.
I have one too. She right here.
I know. So Erica is my sister in my family for a long time coming
Child.
because my family made a decision that she was going to be our family regardless of how we met her, which was through one of my family
I
members.
just say when the wife comes, don't tell her nothing. Just let me live in my life. Been long enough. Been about 12 years. I don't know him. Never been with him. Mm-mm.
That's a big deal.
You know what I'm saying?
Our
Don't
families
introduce
meshed,
me
and
as his exes. It's a lie.
it's a big deal. I mean, you know, that's you know that's been interesting. We've had exes come to the family gatherings with the new ones, the old ones, the all the other stuff, and together made everybody just one big, you know, big family because
What do you
everybody
want to
grew
do?
relationship, you know.
Right. What do you want
Um,
to do?
so, you know, but we didn't think about it when we meshed these families together, when we call, you know, these families together. And we made these decisions to be intertwined with someone and for temporal reasons. So I think my we're coming down to our takeaways. You know, I just our last moments of reflection. And mine's would be, you know, to just make sure you do your part to heal. Right. I would say make sure you do your part to heal because healing is going to help your perspective for your standards.
Yes.
Healing is going to be able to reset you because you got
Good.
to resever those soul ties. That's a part of healing.
That's good.
It's going to put you in a good position to be able to see because that's the thing, you will see through the filtering of your soul and your eyes will be adjusted to your eyes in the spirit, your eyes in the natural will be adjusted to the thing that's old. One of the main reasons why God never wanted us to be all intimate with somebody outside of our significant other, our spouses and etc., is so we wouldn't have to deal with all that comparison, we wouldn't have to deal with all that healing. It causes delay. We wouldn't have to be dealing with the untwining and the unraveling of people that we let in that we weren't supposed
Mhm.
to. It was never meant to be a temporary thing. I remember when I became abstinent back in 2011 now, when I became abstinent April 2011, it had everything to do with the fact that um my heart, I was tired. My heart, that's the exact sentences I said that year. My heart is tired of trying this over and over and over again.
Right.
And this is not going to last. This is not going to stay. And I remember when I had the opportunity to be, you know, one or two
Mhm.
opportunities to be with somebody that, you know, I think our relationship was going to try to be, you know, our relationship was going to be a little bit probably last longer than the norm, I guess. When that was going to happen, I still wouldn't allow myself to do it. I
Yeah.
still wouldn't allow myself to do it because I was like, no, this is not going to be last long. It's amazing, right? If we
Mhm.
think about it, some people we was like, oh, we like them, but we didn't want to stay tied to them, tied to them.
No.
Like they were okay for a minute, and that's what we're going to talk about next time. They were okay for
Yeah.
a season, but we don't want to stay too
Forever.
close to them. We knew that they weren't husband material, and we still let them stay.
Right. They was not forever playing
We know.
games.
We know. So I would suggest men and women of God, make sure you do your due diligence in healing. Make sure you
Yeah.
do your due diligence in healing and ask God to help you with your standards.
I would say for you to write down your standards, like what are they? Be familiar with them so that when it comes through the door, you know what it is, right? You got it in your head and you know, whatever, whatever. Um, the other thing I would do also say is pay attention to what you are exuding out, right? What am I speaking when I'm not speaking? What is my body language? What am I attracting? Like I know that sometimes some of us are not dating, but at the same time men are coming up to us. What kind of men are coming up? You know what I mean? What kind of men have the audacity? What like I mean, and some men just gonna come up because they just want to, but you know, just like who am I? And do I know who I am? Do I understand my worth? And what do I display when I walk out of my door as a being? And what am I attracting in my
Yeah.
life?
So good. So we thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Next time we meet, which will be the second Tuesday of November.
Woo!
And that date is Tuesday, November the 12th.
My other birthday, and I'm joking.
Tuesday, November the 12th will be the next time that we will be on as far as Heart Check is concerned. Please remember to subscribe and click that bell for the notifications so you can know when we're going live so we can meet with you, right? So that's kind of like our schedule for the rest of 2024 as we're both building and navigating this season in this space. But we so enjoyed you guys hanging out with us. We saw you in the comments. We thank you, you guys. And feel free to share it if you think that the wisdom or the gems that we share would be able to help somebody else or help steward. Be sure to share it. What we do is kingdom perspective to sustain and maintain godly relationships. We're talking from a kingdom singles perspective, but really we cover, as you can see, all relationships in that regard, right? So we want to be mindful, we want to be prayerful, and we want to believe God for the next level. We love you guys. Peace. Have a great night.
Yes. Love you.